Billionaire sees a poor orphan helping his missing mother, and what he did next shocked everyone, because in that single moment power, wealth, and status collided with a barefoot boy's kindness in a way no one alive could ever forget. The billionaire Ethan Maxwell, a man whose face graced magazine covers and whose fortune controlled half the city, stood frozen beside his black Rolls-Royce as he watched a thin, dusty orphan holding his missing mother's trembling hand, guiding her across the street as if he were protecting the most precious treasure in the world. Rain drizzled against neon storefront lights. Cars honked impatiently, but the sight of that poor orphan helping his missing mother cut through the billionaire like lightning through summer clouds, exposing everything he never thought he would feel. The world believed billionaires like Ethan Maxwell only cared about wealth, deals, and gold-lined penthouses. But why would a poor orphan risk everything for a woman he had never met? Who was this boy? Where did he come from? And what would a billionaire do next that would make the entire city question everything they thought they knew about money, love, and humanity? Billionaire sees a poor orphan helping his missing mother, and what he did next shocked everyone, because in that single moment power, wealth, and status collided with a barefoot boy's kindness in a way no one alive could ever forget. The billionaire Ethan Maxwell, tall, sharp-jawed, wrapped in a charcoal suit worth more than a year's rent for most families, stood frozen beside his black Rolls-Royce as he watched a thin, dusty orphan holding his missing mother's trembling hand, guiding her across the street as if he were protecting the most precious treasure in the world. Rain drizzled against neon storefront lights. Cars honked impatiently, but the sight of that poor orphan helping his missing mother cut through the billionaire like lightning through summer clouds, exposing everything he never thought he would feel. The world believed billionaires like Ethan Maxwell only cared about wealth, deals, and gold-lined penthouses. But why would a poor orphan risk everything for a woman he had never met? Who was this boy? Where did he come from? And what would a billionaire do next that would make the entire city question everything they thought they knew about money, love, and humanity? Ethan had been searching for his mother, Evelyn Maxwell, for 7 exhausting days. She had vanished without a trace from her care facility. No security footage, no digital trail, nothing but a quiet bed and a folded blanket, as if she simply walked out into the world and disappeared. Police swarmed the city, news channels speculated, tabloids screamed headlines, yet no one could find her. She suffered from intermittent memory loss. Some days she remembered Ethan as her son. Other days she believed she was still 23, singing in smoky jazz bars before life placed her in the arms of a wealthy man. The Maxwell empire was built by her husband, then expanded by Ethan. But beneath the skyscrapers and success was a boy who once held his mother's shaking hands through nights filled with pills, confusion, and tears. The sight of her now, weak, clothes damp from rain, eyes distant yet trusting the orphan boy, tore open memories Ethan buried under billions. The boy was maybe 13. Torn canvas shoes, oversized sweater hanging from his bony shoulders, hair soaked and clinging to his forehead. He kept speaking to Evelyn gently, like someone who knew how fragile life was. Ethan could hear him faintly over the rain. "You're not safe alone, ma'am. My shelter is near. You can rest," the boy whispered, voice soft but steady. Evelyn nodded, confused, gripping his wrist like he was her anchor. Ethan stepped forward slowly, not as a billionaire, not as the man whose name controlled markets, but as a son. "Mom?" She looked at him with cloudy eyes, searching his face like a book missing pages. She didn't recognize him, not yet, but the boy noticed Ethan, stiffening like a deer caught in headlights. People like Ethan did not belong on streets with children like him. He expected anger, police, accusations. Instead, Ethan's voice cracked. "Thank you. For helping my mother." The orphan blinked rapidly, cautious. I just didn't want her to get hurt." Ethan lowered himself to the boy's height, shoes splashing in a puddle worth more than the boy's clothes combined. The rain soaked Ethan's hair, ruining a suit tailored in Italy, but he didn't care. "What's your name?" Ethan asked. The boy hesitated. "Leo." "Do you have parents I can call?" Ethan's voice trembled, already fearing the answer. Leo shook his head once. The billionaire swallowed a lump. An orphan saved what a city with 1,000 officers couldn't. Evelyn suddenly spoke, voice delicate like fading music. "Your eyes. You remind me of someone. A boy I lost." Ethan froze, heart hammering. Leo guided her with such tenderness that part of Ethan wondered if fate had placed that child there for a reason the world didn't yet understand. A crowd gathered, phones raised, recognizing Ethan Maxwell, the billionaire whose mother went missing, standing drenched in the rain with a ragged orphan holding her hand. No headlines prepared them for what happened next. Ethan stood, placed a hand gently on Leo's shoulder, and said loud enough for every ear and every future news channel to hear, "You saved my mother, come with me." Gasps rippled. Leo stumbled back, wide-eyed. Me? Why?" Because Ethan saw something in him. Courage wrapped in hunger, kindness wrapped in scars. A boy who saved a stranger like she was family. But there was more. An unspoken pull, a thread tying them together. Flashback. 12 years earlier. A hospital waiting room. A little boy too poor to afford treatment. Ethan had walked past him then, unaware. Too busy closing deals over the phone. That same night, a news report said a child died 3 rooms away from his mother's suite because no one paid attention. Ethan never forgot that ghost. Now staring at Leo, drenched, fragile, yet fearless. Something inside him whispered, "Redemption." He extended his hand again. People recorded, waiting to witness either a miracle or a scandal. Leo hesitated, and in that hesitation lived poverty, hunger, abandonment, fear of promises always broken. Then he reached. Ethan's fingers closed around his small hand, and the world changed. Ethan kept his hand wrapped around Leo's, as if letting go meant losing something fate had returned only once. Evelyn walked slowly beside them, trusting Leo's presence more than her own memories. The city lights shimmered off puddles as they entered the Rolls-Royce. The billionaire, his missing mother, and the poor orphan who held her hand like a son. No journalist could frame a story like that. No shareholder meeting could compete. Inside the car, warmth replaced the cold sting of rain. Leo sat at the edge of the seat, afraid to stain the leather. His clothes dripped water, forming tiny puddles on the polished floor. He kept glancing toward the door, half expecting security to drag him out. Ethan noticed this, the way trauma made children small to survive. "Seatbelt on," Ethan said softly. Leo flinched at the kindness more than the command. Evelyn stared at Leo with an expression Ethan hadn't seen in years. Peace. Something in Leo eased her mind, like he filled a silence within her memory. "Do you have anyone, Leo?" she asked gently. He swallowed hard. "Just me." Ethan looked away, jaw tightening. That answer echoed in him like a wound reopening. He had private investigators pull files for acquisition targets, background checks for CEOs. But this boy, he only knew the truth trembling in Leo's voice. Traffic crawled past skyscrapers. Billboards flashed with Ethan's face, Forbes Man of the Year. Yet Leo stared at them like looking at a mythical creature. The boy wasn't impressed by wealth, fame, or power. He only seemed afraid of losing the brief kindness he was allowed. When they reached Maxwell Tower, reporters swarmed, cameras blinding like lightning. Security parted the crowd, but Ethan did not shield himself. Instead, He placed his hand on Leo's shoulder, not as charity, but protection. A journalist shoved a microphone forward. "Mr. Maxwell, where did you find your missing mother?" Ethan answered, eyes steady. "A young boy found her. He kept her safe." Another voice cut in sharply. "Are you saying an orphan did what the entire city couldn't?" Flashbulbs exploded like fireworks. Leo shrank back, but Ethan stood firm, pulling him forward with him instead of behind. "I am saying he saved her life," Ethan replied, "and he is coming home with me." A roar erupted. Scandal, disbelief, fascination. Billionaires adopted ideas, not children. They built empires, not families. Yet Ethan led Evelyn and Leo past marble pillars, through gold-lined elevators into a penthouse suspended above the clouds. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. White marble floors gleamed. Evelyn smiled faintly, though her eyes still flickered with confusion. Leo stood near the entrance like a stray cat, unsure whether the door was a trap or salvation. Ethan walked to him slowly, his voice lowering into something honest. "You have a room here now. Clothes, food, safety." Leo's breath shook. "Do I have to earn it?" Those words shattered something inside Ethan. "No," Ethan whispered, kneeling again. "You saved my mother. I owe you more than I can ever give." Leo blinked rapidly, as though kindness was a language he barely understood. Yet his stomach growled, loud enough to echo. His face flushed red. Ethan smiled gently. "Let's eat." A private chef brought steaming bowls of soup, freshly baked bread, grilled fish, and lemon tea for Evelyn. Leo stared, stunned, as if the food wasn't real. He waited until Ethan nodded before taking a bite. Then he devoured it. Not greedily, desperately, like someone who learned long ago that tomorrow might not come. Tears slipped from Ethan's eyes silently. He hadn't cried since he was 15, standing at his father's funeral while cameras watched. Leo didn't notice. He was too busy eating with trembling hands. Evelyn watched them, confusion fading into clarity, like memories aligning with the present. She reached toward Leo, brushing his sleeve gently. "You remind me of someone," she murmured. "Someone I lost long ago." Leo paused, soup spoon suspended midair. "Who?" Evelyn's voice softened, fragile, like pages of an old diary. "A baby boy. I had another child many years before Ethan. He died before I could give him a life." The air froze. Ethan stared at his mother, disbelief tightening his chest. He had lived his entire life believing he was an only child, that their family tree sprouted from success, not tragedy. Leo's eyes widened, fear, curiosity, longing all colliding at once. "How old would he be now?" the boy whispered. Evelyn squeezed his hand. "Exactly your age." Silence filled the room, heavy enough to pulse. Ethan's world shifted beneath him. Wealth, power, legacy. None of it prepared him for the possibility that he had unknowingly walked past his mother's grief his whole life. Leo lowered his gaze. "I'm not him." "No," Evelyn whispered, "but you could have been." And in that moment, Ethan saw not coincidence, but something more. An unspoken thread pulling their lives toward a truth no one yet understood. Fate didn't write stories this precise, without purpose. Thunder rolled outside. Wind rattled the penthouse windows. Somewhere beyond glass and skyline, a past long buried clawed forward like something demanding to be seen. Leo looked up at Ethan slowly, voice small but steady. "Why did you come for me?" Ethan answered without hesitation. "Because you saved the most important person in my world, and now I want to save you." But fate wasn't kind, for within hours, while they slept under the same roof, danger began its silent approach. Someone didn't want Evelyn found, and they'd just discovered she was alive. Ethan barely slept, The storm outside hammered against the glass like a warning the city itself was trying to speak. He sat in the dim glow of his home office, sleeves rolled, tie discarded, hair still damp from rain, staring at security footage of every city block Evelyn could have walked through before Leo found her. The monitors flickered with images of homeless camps, alleyways, bridges, old train stations. He rewound footage again and again, searching for anything, any shadow, any silhouette, any anomaly. His phone buzzed. Private investigator Victor Hayes, loyal, razor-sharp, ex-Navy intelligence. "We found something," Victor said. "Footage from a gas station 60 miles away. Someone helped Mrs. Maxwell into a truck 2 nights before she appeared downtown." Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. "Who?" Victor paused. "I don't know yet, but he wasn't helping her. He was taking her." Ethan stood slowly, a cold realization crawling into his lungs like ice. Someone abducted his mother. Someone moved her from place to place like a package. Someone let her wander away on purpose, or made a mistake. Either way, it wasn't random. It was deliberate. Ethan ended the call, jaw locked. But just as he turned toward the living room, he froze. Leo was standing in the hallway, thin silhouette outlined by lightning through the window. He looked smaller without street shadows behind him, like a child who finally let exhaustion catch him. "You didn't sleep," Leo whispered. "You didn't either," Ethan replied. Leo walked closer, bare feet silent against marble. "I thought—" He hesitated, voice trembling. "If I slept, I'd wake up somewhere else, back under the bridge, back alone." Ethan's breath caught. "You're not leaving, not unless you choose to." He meant it, more than he meant billion-dollar contracts, more than he meant business. Leo nodded, though doubt still lingered behind his eyes like bruises. He walked past Ethan toward Evelyn's room. Ethan followed quietly. Evelyn was curled beneath white sheets, breathing softly like a child. Leo sat beside her, holding her fragile hand as if guarding her from nightmares. He hummed, broken, low but careful, a song only boys who raise themselves know, a song stitched with hunger and hollow nights and street corner prayers. Ethan realized then it wasn't him Evelyn recognized. It was kindness she recognized. Kindness that Leo carried like a flame. Minutes passed like slow tides. Ethan watched the 2 most fragile people in his life sleep in the same room, and something inside him shifted. The empire he built suddenly felt small compared to the fragile thread that connected them. Morning came like a whisper. Sunlight spilled gold across the penthouse. Evelyn woke first, eyes clearer than the night before. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said, not to Ethan but to Leo. The boy froze, stunned. Ethan felt jealousy prick his ribs like thorns, illogical, childish, painful. His mother remembered the orphan before her own son. He forced himself to breathe. Evelyn touched Leo's cheek with trembling fingers. "You have my husband's eyes, warm but sad." Leo blinked hard, swallowing emotion. Ethan did too, but before anyone could speak further, security alarms pierced the air. Leo flinched. Evelyn gasped. Ethan was already moving. The intercom blared, "Unauthorized elevator access, unknown entry." Ethan turned to Leo, voice steady but sharp. "Stay with her." Leo nodded instantly, gripping Evelyn's hand like a soldier guarding a queen. Ethan stepped into the hallway, adrenaline burning hot. Security guards rushed past him, weapons drawn, not bullets, but immobilizers built for defense. The elevator dinged. Doors slid open slowly, not violently but confidently, like someone who believed they belonged there. A man stepped out. Tall, dark coat, no fear in his expression. Like he knew Ethan Maxwell would come. "Hello, Ethan." Ethan's heartbeat slammed against his ribs. He knew that voice, or rather he remembered hearing it once through corporate whispers. Silas Crane, CEO rival, ruthless, the kind of man who didn't break laws. He bent them into crown shapes he wore like trophies. Ethan clenched his fists. "You took my mother." Silas smiled with the casual cruelty of men who never paid for sins. "She wandered," he said. "I simply redirected her." "Why?" Ethan's voice cracked like thunder off steel. Silas walked forward, brushing past security like they were furniture. "Because you refused my acquisition offer. Because you think blood should matter more than power. I wanted leverage," he shrugged. "But she escaped." Ethan felt rage coil like a serpent inside him. "You kidnapped her to force business negotiations?" Silas didn't blink. "And I would have succeeded until your stray animal interfered." "Leo." Silas's gaze flicked toward Evelyn's room, noticed the door slightly ajar. A smirk stretched across his face. "So that's the boy." Ethan moved before thought existed. He lunged. Two bodies collided like storms meeting. Furniture shuddered, a vase shattered. Security restrained Silas before Ethan tore him apart with his bare hands. Silas only laughed. "You can't prove anything. No signatures, no witnesses, no leverage." Ethan stepped back, chest heaving. Silas was right, for now. But Leo appeared in the doorway, eyes wide, Evelyn behind him gripping his shoulder, and Silas noticed him again, really noticed him. "Funny," Silas said softly, "he looks like family." Leo froze, in fear or recognition. Ethan couldn't tell. Silas leaned closer, whispering to Ethan alone. "You think the orphan is coincidence?" His voice slithered like poison. "Dig deeper, Maxwell. You might not like what you find." Security dragged him toward the elevator, wrists bound, smile unbroken, as if he had already won. The doors closed. Silas's laughter echoed long after. Ethan turned to Leo. "He's lying." Leo stared back, voice barely breath. "What if he's not?" And in the silence that followed, a truth began to stir like a buried secret clawing its way toward daylight, one that would either save them all or ruin them forever. The elevator swallowed Silas Crane like a serpent sliding back into darkness, but his words remained, sharp, poisonous, impossible to ignore. Ethan stood motionless in the ruined living room, chest rising and falling like a man balancing between two cliffs, truth and denial. Leo remained by the doorway, Evelyn's trembling hand caught inside his like a fragile secret he was afraid to break. Evelyn looked between them with eyes too clear to mistake. "What did he mean?" she asked softly, voice cracked with dread. "Why did he say, 'dig deeper'?" Leo lowered his head. "Because maybe he knows something about me." Ethan walked toward him slowly, fear creeping through him like frost across glass. "Leo, I don't care what he thinks he knows. You saved my mother. You belong here." Leo's voice wavered. "Still, I need to know." The room stilled. The question that no one had the bravery to ask now sat heavy between them. Who was Leo before he was Leo? Ethan made a decision that tasted like courage and fear blended into one. "We find out together," he said. "No secrets, no running." He called Victor Hayes back, ordered a full background trace. Every orphan record, every foster file, every birth certificate within 100 miles. Victor barked orders through the phone, data grinding through systems like gears turning destiny forward. Hours later, just as dusk bled into the windows, Victor called again. "We found a match." Ethan's heart slammed once. "A baby boy abandoned 13 years ago at St. Helena Hospital," Victor said. "No name, no documents, but—" He hesitated. "But what?" Ethan demanded. There was only one identifying item left with the child. A bracelet, engraved initials, E.M. Ethan felt the world sway beneath him. E.M. Evelyn Maxwell. He nearly dropped the phone. Evelyn gasped softly behind him, clutching her chest like memory itself had struck her. Leo stared, confusion and terror twisting inside him like storm winds. Victor continued, "Records say the child disappeared from the hospital within 24 hours. No adoption file, no transfer, just gone. Kidnapped, stolen, fixed into the cracks of history like he was never meant to be found," Leo whispered, voice trembling like a candle in wind. "Are you saying I could be her son?" Silence answered first. Then Evelyn stepped forward, slow, shaking, broken by hope. She cupped Leo's face in her hands like she had been waiting her entire life to touch what she lost. "My boy," she breathed, tears falling like soft rain. "My baby boy, I felt you. Even when I forgot everything, I felt you." Leo broke. He collapsed into her arms, not gentle, not graceful, but with years of starving for a mother exploding out of his chest. He sobbed into her shoulder, and she held him with trembling hands, like she was holding back the whole universe. Ethan watched this reunion, pride and pain and love colliding inside him all at once. His mother hadn't recognized him at first, but she recognized Leo like blood calling across time. Jealousy stabbed him, but it melted beneath the truth. Family is not measured by who came first, but by who was lost and who was found. He walked forward slowly. He placed his hand on Leo's back, not to claim, but to accept. One mother, two sons, one broken family stitching itself together under a golden sky. Evelyn looked up at Ethan, eyes clearer than he had ever seen. "You have a brother, Ethan." The words cracked the world open like thunder splitting stone. Leo lifted his head, tear-streaked, afraid. "Do you even want me as a brother?" Ethan knelt, cupped Leo's face the same way Evelyn did, voice steady with emotion. "No," he said, but not coldly. He continued, "I need you as my brother." Leo's breath broke. Ethan pulled him into his arms, and for the first time in 13 years, Leo belonged to someone. But the moment peace settled like a blanket across their shoulders, Ethan's phone buzzed again. Victor's voice came through, tight, urgent. "You need to know one more thing. Leo wasn't abandoned. His disappearance was part of the same operation that took your mother last week." Ethan froze, blood turning to ice. Silas Crane didn't just stumble into Leo's life. He engineered it. Victor exhaled like he'd been holding the truth too long. "Silas has been manipulating your family for years. Evelyn's memory lapses, the kidnapping, the orphaned child. It's all connected. Leo was taken as an infant to weaken your mother. Recently she was taken again to make you fold." Ethan felt rage bloom like wildfire in his chest. "He used us," Ethan whispered. Leo's voice was small but fierce. "He tried to break us." Ethan stood, jaw iron, spine steel. He failed, because family built by pain is unbreakable, because love found in ruin becomes unshakable, because two brothers and a mother are no longer missing. Ethan turned to Leo, eyes burning with purpose. "You're not an orphan anymore." Leo nodded, tears shining like dawn on water. "And you're not alone anymore." Evelyn smiled through trembling lips, holding both her sons in each hand, like fate finally returned what was stolen. Outside, the city roared with life. News broke. The world watched in disbelief as headlines changed forever. Billionaire reunites with lost brother. The boy who saved their mother an orphan no more. A family restored. Ethan vowed to dismantle Silas Crane piece by piece, not out of revenge alone, but protection for the family he nearly lost forever. Leo vowed to stand beside his brother, not as a charity case, but as blood. And Evelyn, fragile, recovering, remembering, finally slept peacefully with both her children under one roof. The world shocked, history rewritten. A billionaire found his brother, a lost boy found his name. A mother lost once was lost no more.